Okay, in this next video, we want to finish things off by testing the customer class in an ASP.NET web solution. One of the things I forgot to do in the getCustomer method is actually construct the customer object. So if we find a record, at the beginning, I set it to null. So now we found a record, we want to construct the object and then start copying the fields into it. So I had to add that one little piece of code. So I'm just going to build this, and now we're going to test and see if this works. So to do that, we'll close this solution down, and we're going to start a new solution. And in this case, it's going to be a empty ASP.NET web application. And we'll call this the We Help You Test. Now, there's a few things we need to do to get that library and database into this solution. So I'm going to go to References, right-click, choose Add a Reference. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to find that library. So if we just navigate through the project folder, into the bin, into the debug, we will find the actual library. I'll click Add. I'll click OK. And we should see under References our library. So there it is. The next thing we need to do is add an ASP.NET folder to the project, an app data folder. And in this folder, we will add the actual database. So that's an existing item. And I'm going to again go to my library solution and get a copy of that database and bring it into this solution. Now to test it, we need to have some sort of output. So we're going to add a .NET form, web form, and we'll just call that default. And we'll bring that over and into our solution. Now I'm going to right click on the web form and just set it as the start page, so that page loads. And then I'm going to go to the design window for that web form. And from the toolbox, I'll just grab myself a label or some other component that I can use to display the results of that getCustomer method in the library. So I got a little label on here. Now I want to go to the code behind and take a look at that. And we're going to put in a little using statement for the library. So again, we should see that come up in IntelliSense. There it is. And before I write any code, I'm just going to compile this and make sure that everything's okay. And then in the page load event, I'm going to test the method out. So to do this, I first need to declare a string variable that's going to be used as the out variable to the method. Then in the library, we have our customer class. There it is. We declared it as public, and sure enough, it's showing up. And we'll call the object customer. And here's where we go back to the library, back to the customer class, and we can see there's the getCustomer method. So we're going to call that method. And we have to pass in a valid customer number. In this case, I know there's a customer with a customer ID of 1. And we have to pass in our result variable to the actual method. And because it's an out variable, you have to use the out keyword to specify that this variable is being passed in as an out variable. So the method will put either record found, record not found, or an error message in this variable. The last thing I want to do is check and make sure that we did in fact get a record back. And if you remember, the object was set to null at the very beginning. So if there's no record, then the object return will be null. So I'm going to say if it's not null, then we must have gotten a record. And in this case, I'll go to the label that's on my web form, and I'll set its text property to be the customer's first name. And there we have it. So now we can give a little compile. And the last thing we do is click the run button and try it out. And there you have it. Mary is in fact the first name of the customer inside the table TBL customer that has an ID of 1. Shut that down and that little test program, and we're all done.